Hey everybody, it's Friday, and with our video devotional today, we're closing out a week in which we've been looking at a very uncomfortable subject for many people: trials. And again, what is a trial? Trial is any situation directly and specifically designed for you that's a hardship, a season of hardship. And it can be relational, it can be financial, emotional, physical, spiritual. Trials, many shapes and sizes they take on. And Jesus said, we will have tribulation, we will have trouble, we will have trials. And we can take heart because he's overcome the entire world. And he said this in John 16, just a few verses before walking to the cross. And so Jesus knows what he's talking about. And then Wednesday we looked at Peter, unique perspective on trials, and uniquely qualified to talk to us about trials and how he can inform the way we look at trials. And Peter said, don't be surprised when they come. Don't think of this as out of nowhere. But instead, he says, entrust yourself to a faithful Creator while doing good. So while we're entrusting ourselves to God during these times of hardship, we keep on reflecting him by how we act in the world. Now we come to James, and this is a shout out to a good friend of mine, James Caldwell. He said this was one of his favorite verses, and I told him this was coming today. So James, this is for you as well as others. James gives us perhaps the most countercultural take on what to do when trials bombard you. James gives you, and at first listen, you're going to think that's not just countercultural, that's crazy. That's crazy. No one does this naturally. We are prone to actually go the opposite way that James will tell us to react. So when trials come, Peter says, don't be surprised, entrust yourself, do good. James is going to go another step. Let me read to you from James chapter 1, starting in verse 2. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Did you catch that countercultural crazy word? Count it all joy. Joy? Joy? I'm supposed to have joy when trials come upon me? I'm supposed to count it all joy when I meet various trials and these circumstances? You're right, that is countercultural, Jason. That's straight crazy talk. What am I going to do? Put it on a Twitter hashtag, so stressed that I'm blessed, as opposed to too blessed to be stressed? Or should I just lay it out on Facebook or Instagram for everyone to see? Instead of having the perfect yard or the perfect vacation pic, I show the perfect trial pic and say, I'm feeling great? Probably not. Probably not that. But James says joy. Why? Are we pain freaks? Do we love pain? No. Is it a joy because like a really bad soreness after lifting weights, you're gonna build muscle? You're getting a little closer, but no. James says count it joy because of this. Something's happening in the trial itself. Your faith is getting refined. It's getting tested. It produces something. Steadfastness, or another way to say it, maybe stick-to-itness. You're just going to stay and remain faithful. Trials help you and I stay faithful and steadfast. We need to look no further than Jesus, who for the joy set before him, Hebrews 12, endures the cross, scorning its shame. And he's now seated at the right hand of the throne of God. So he says, count it all joy, because you will have steadfastness, and that steadfastness will have full effect. One of the ways that you and I mature as believers is how we respond to and trust God during trials. And by the way, joy, let's just talk about joy for a second. Joy is not just mere happiness. No, joy is actually a happiness in God that completely transcends and is superseding earthly happiness. It goes beyond circumstances. An entire book of the New Testament, Philippians, is about joy, rejoicing. And by the way, Paul didn't write that at Club Med. One guy said he wrote it at Club Fed because he was in the penitentiary, he's in the prison. At the end of James, interesting how James starts out in chapter 1 about trials, and then he starts to land the plane on his book in chapter 5. I just want to share this very quickly. James chapter 5, verse 10. As an example of suffering and patience, brothers, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Behold, we consider those blessed who remained, there's the word again, steadfast. So if you're suffering, if you're going through a trial, count it as joy. Not because of the trial itself, but because of what's happening while you're going through it and its after effects. Because God will not waste the trial. He's going to use it. He doesn't punish you with it. He redeems it and disciplines you in it. Have a great weekend, church.